Let's take a look at some of the best robots the FTC community has made this week. So we can see we've got 3 balls in here, and they have this sort of double chute up at the top where it's capable of moving something down, as well as... I'm Coach Pratt. I've been teaching robotics design for over a decade now, and I've mentored FTC teams to winning national championships. Today, we're going to take a look at some different auto strategies that teams are coming up with for the FTC DECODE season. Take a look at some general robot designs and things I think are really successful for how teams are moving. And then we'll also get a look at one of the coolest vertical indexers that I've seen all season. So first up here, we've got Team Scream 14204, and they've got an awesome triple shooter I think is worthwhile to take a look at. They've got some fun RGB LEDs down the bottom. It doesn't look like those are... They may be active during the actual driving teleop period, but I do like this in that it's got a triple shooter that it's able to get itself up and rocking with, which is not something that I've seen a lot of teams be able to get up and be successful with so far. And having a triple flywheel shooter is quite successful going off this robot. They have a little bit of compliance going on the front of their wheel there, or the front of their intake, sorry. And that is, as a solo auto path, really solid for this team. I want you to take a look at their starting position, though, because I think that a lot of teams are thinking you need to start completely square to the goal, and that's absolutely not necessary. Nice thing about this is that it looks like they've probably got a camera that can check as they come around. They come up, they could take a look at the decode, and as they rotate themselves around, they're able to look at that obelisk and be able to know what patterns they have to shoot, and then be able to fire in at the same time. And it does look like there's 3 functional RGB LEDs down on the back so that their driver knows whether it's up and running or not, what artifact is inside which station. Would be cool to see those also turn on during autonomous, just to show off that you got a little bit more of that color sensing featuring going on for things like judges and so on. Next up here, we've got another autonomous from Metal Magic FTC 23362. They've got a really interesting start here. They actually start facing backwards, do a full rotation, then flip around to be able to look at the obelisk. And I think that's a really interesting way of kicking off their start. They've also got a very controlled section to be able to pick up their autonomous. And I think that some teams, particularly new teams as they're going through this, they think that you need to go through as fast as humanly possible. And going fast as possible sometimes is not always the best option, because this robot here, when it comes back to be able to pick things up, while I don't think that might be the most efficient path, it does work for getting their pattern obelisk sorted. Going in slow and controlling these means that you're not wasting time coming in and hitting and then overshooting and things like that. So slowing down your paths, surprisingly, can actually end up speeding you up sometimes. There's an old saying, as it goes, slow is smooth and smooth becomes fast. So nice job on that, Team Metal Magic. Next up, we've got some general robot designs here. And a lot of teams I've been seeing are trying to get a hooded shooter going up. They don't have a hooded shooter, then they just kind of ignore the fact of auto-aligning. And I think that aligning yourselves onto the target is one of the most important things that your team can do this season to make it easier for your drivers. So we've got Team 25961. They've got a clearly... It looks like this is being adapted off of the Go with the Starter robot, but they've got a quick little auto line here so they can see that as they hold down a trigger, as they hold down some sort of button, you'll notice that the entire mechanism chassis shifts to rotate towards that able tag. So watch right about here. There's that big rotation, and now it auto aligns itself in. So not only can you align yourselves based on rotating a turret, you can also rotate your entire robot if you got the ability to do that. And both functionally serve the same purpose. If you're not sure how to do that, you can use a little bit of PD control or proportional derivative control to be able to align yourself on using a camera, whether you're using a limelight, whether you're using a standard webcam, whether you're using a Husky lens in the close section for that launching zone, all work really well for this purpose. I'll actually have a tutorial coming out in the next week or so on how you might be able to self-align yourself onto a target. Next up here, I think is just a really successful robot design here. We've got a Team 17517. Wowen Alt. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I do like seeing teams do lots of driver practice. They've got a really wide intake on the front and then quite a high throughput, as well as quite an accurate throughput for their shooter. So some super impressive stuff. I think some teams need to be concerned, and when you watch things like this, it's really cool to show this off as a feature, Got to be really concerned you look at solo world record points, because they are exactly that. They are solo world records. You don't have another robot in there that you're battling against. And if you do, as a team, have some access to this, I'd highly suggest you put another robot into the field. You put another robot to drive around and try to play some defense against. If you have large cardboard boxes, put those cardboard boxes around the field, put in 3 of them, and put them in inconvenient places. Because your drivers need to know and learn, how do you drive around obstacles? How do you drive so that you can hit in and play a little defense against other teams? It's really useful to be practicing like you would actually perform. You could also have some teammates randomly throwing artifacts around the field, so that will also make it feel a bit more realistic as it is that you're doing your testing. Next up here, we've got team 21028 from the Eagles. Again, it's one of those solo records. This isn't to take away the success that teams are having with doing really impressive robots, but it is just to share that if you are going to do something solo, it's really important that you throw in some extra obstacles around to make it a bit more of a realistic setup. You can see this whole robot is capable of auto-aligning itself. It looks to me like the p-value might be tuned a little bit high, because it actually starts to overshoot and it starts to wiggle back and forth as it is trying to align itself up. But the thing that I want you to learn from this robot is it's rather skinny, and just the importance of getting down weight on a robot can really be. So they've got a wicked quick drivetrain and allows them to get a lot of cycle times in. They're able to pick up an artifact, they take it, they own it, and they have a quite quick being able to pick up and release those. And I think that really is going to be a really dominating strategy going into this. I'm not sure just how important pattern is going to be to teams that actually end up winning, as it will be just to have much, much higher cycle times over time. And last up here is from the CAPEC, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, super qualifier. A good reminder to make sure that you develop robust robot construction methods, because despite this not being combat robotics, you are definitely going to have some strong impacts this year. You can see the robot down at the bottom actually has their turret fall clean off mid-match. That must be really defeating feeling for that team, but also a good thing to make sure you have some pre-match and post-match inspection checklists. Make sure that nothing critical on your robot is going to fail, because if that part falls off, you are completely hooped in the middle of that match. And last up here, the thing you guys have been waiting for is taking a look at that index. And this is Team Droid Force 23849. They just released a video up on their YouTube channel that goes through how their vertical indexer actually works. So we can see here they've got a quick image of their intake actually working. I like seeing a little bit few ramps. It has some RGB LEDs to be able to say what is the current top ball inside of that chute. They can flip it around. Green is now first, and it's able to fire 3 through at rather high throughputs. They've also got another view here where you can go ahead and take a look. And it is awesome that Droid Force is sharing these resources with the community so that you can see how things are going. And I'm not going to show this entire video because I want you to go take a look at the recycle sorter explanation, just because I think it's so awesome that they're sharing this out. It's a really slick design. It's able to both intake in the front and in the back based off this kind of really slick mechanism to be able to move their robot around so they can intake on 2 sides. I think that's pretty critical. What I will like to show here is this little bit of pattern recycling. So we can see we've got 3 balls in here, and they have this sort of double chute up at the top where it's capable of moving something down as well as also feeding the ball up and into their actual outtake. So they're able to feed it around, it's able to work itself back up, and then they're able to use the same, actually it looks like, yeah, it uses the same arm to be able to kick itself back up. So some super slick stuff. Don't want to show it all because I think it's worthwhile to go take a look at what it is that they've shown as well. If you've got something or a match you think is interesting for the rest of the community to take a look at, you could consider submitting that on the FTC Fridays submission form in the link down below. If you're looking for more CAD files, more resources, code snippets, and sort of extra extension for tutorials and things that I do, you could consider joining my community. It's a great way to support this channel as well. And as always, best of luck out there this FTC season.